are watching a new number of the week. Welcome and good evening. And on the head of the week, Youssef Chorfa, Minister of Labour, Employment and Social Security, pledged during his meeting with the National People's Assembly deputies for the electoral district of Jilfa, Janet and Tier, to take care of the legitimate concerns of citizens related to the files of work, employment and social security as soon as possible. This meeting, which the minister allocates to the people's representatives, fall within the framework of his continuous keenness to listen to the concerns conveyed by the people's representatives in the areas that fall within the powers of his sector. The deputies raised a number of citizens' concerns related to the files of work, employment and social security, as the minister promised to take care of the legitimate ones as soon as possible. The President of the Republic, Majid Tebboune, received a phone call from his Tunisian counterpart, Kais Saied, congratulating him on the Algerian football team's victory in the Arab Cup at the expense of his country, Tunisia. According to what was reported by the Tunisian presidency, President Saied indicated that the most important pictures he took were not the recorded goals, but rather pictures of the joy that swept the Tunisian masses at the end of the meeting, as they raised the Tunisian and Algerian flags and other Arab banners. The President of the Republic, Majid Tebboune, ordered a review of the restructuring and organization of the agricultural administration centrally, regionally and locally, according to a reformist view that takes into account the priorities. This comes during his presidency of the cabinet meeting, where the President gave the following instructions and directives regarding the development of agricultural production and the reduction of food dependency, develop an operational vision according to the peculiarity of the Algerian farming, based on the agricultural reality instead of academic theories, revising the restructuring and organization of the agricultural administration centrally, regionally and locally, according to a reformist view that takes into account the priorities, strengthening milk production structures to control more of its production and distribution, especially in major cities, encouraging investment in the agricultural sector according to a new vision, especially in the states of the south, where water is available and fertile lands are unexploited, reconsidering the experiences and role of model farms to achieve added value in the sector centrally, regionally and locally, establishing a statistical apparatus based on modern technologies and Algerian competencies that will enable accurate scientific data to be obtained for forward-looking exploitation. The President of the Republic, Majid Tebboune, received on Monday the national team of the Arab champions at the People's Palace after winning the Arab Cup FIFA 2021 in the Qatari capital Doha. The honoring ceremony took place in the presence of the Speaker of the National Assembly, Saleh Boujil, the Speaker of the People's National Assembly, Ibrahim Boughali, the Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, Ayman Ben Abdelrahman, the Chief of Staff of the People's National Army, Lieutenant General Saïd Chengueriha, members of the government and a number of state officials. The national team of locals arrived last Sunday in Algeria and was received by the Prime Minister, Minister of Finance and advisor to the President of the Republic, Abdelhafid Al-Ham, as well as members of the government. Before the team roamed the streets of the capital in a convoy via the open-top bus, where it received a warm public reception. Sonatrach signed an obligation contract with the Algerian Institute of Standardization, IANOR, within the framework of the international methodology ISO 37001, which seeks to strengthen institutions with the systems and standards adopted to combat corruption and promote a culture of institutional ethics. Sonatrach said in a statement on its official page that this initiative seeks to strengthen relations of mutual trust between Sonatrach and various customers and partners at the national and international levels, in line with the requirements of legal and regulatory framework ISO 37001. It will contribute to protecting the company, its assets and the employees from practices that are not in line with transparency and integrity. The statement established stricter rules in terms of compliance with laws and regulations in the field of transparency and integrity in all areas of its activities. The Director General of the National Agency for Pharmaceutical Products, Kamal Mansouri, confirmed that the agency registered more than 700 products during the last 2 years. Professor Mansouri explained on the sidelines of the Media Day's work on clinical research entitled Algeria on the Path of Innovation, saying, "We have registered in the field of pharmaceutical products during the last 2 years more than 700 products," expressing his satisfaction with the level of coverage in the field of pharmaceutical products of local production, which is about 70%. He explained, "In this context, we have reached about 3,800 registered products of local production out of total of 4,200, and he added, "The approach adopted by the sector authorities aims to move slowly towards the localization of production, which will allow for a better and independent follow-up in terms of product availability." The Chief of Staff of the People's National Army, Lieutenant General Said Chinguiry, called on the media sector to confront all media campaigns and hostile schemes that try to undermine the security and stability of the country. The team stressed on the need to mobilize all sectors without exception, especially by media sector, to confront all team-stated or all media campaigns and hostile schemes. The team stated the strengthening of our national unity and the consolidation of our international front, in addition to maintaining the dynamic of development that the new Algeria has embarked on and achieving the established goals. It calls for the recruitment of all sectors of the state without exception, especially the media sector. The team also added that it is counting on the media sector at this stage to confront all media campaigns and hostile schemes that try to undermine the security and stability of the country. Wednesday, Prime Minister and Minister of Finance Ayman bin Abdulrahman chaired the weekly meeting of the government to study issues related to the promotion of investment and export, in addition to studying a draft law in the employment and social security sector as part of implementing the President's directives. The government has studied a draft legislative text related to investment promotion, which aims to establish a legal framework that allows for the resurgence of productive investment in goods and services, and to facilitate and simplify the administrative procedures associated with the Investment Act. In its meeting, the government also considered a draft executive decree that includes the establishment, organization, and functioning of the National Agency for Industrial Real Estate. The draft text aims to take care of the issue of granting and managing industrial real estate, which constitutes one of the main constraints that impede the completion of investment projects, according to the statement. With regard to the promotion of export, the government studied a preliminary draft of a law relating to free zones, which was presented by the Minister of Trade and Export Promotion. In addition, the government examined a draft law that amends and complements the law on the modalities of exercising the right to trade union, as it included several amendments to adapt its provisions to the provision of the International Labour Convention related to freedom of association and protection of the right to organize. The President of the Republic, Abdelmadjid Tebboune, signed Wednesday a presidential decree on the convening of the Electoral College for the renewal of half of the elected members of the Council of the Nation that will be held on 5 February, the Council of Nations said in a statement. Lieutenant General Said Chinguiry, the Chief of Staff of the People's National Army, affirmed Wednesday in Algiers that joining the efforts aimed at preserving the national security is the responsibility of all the Algerians, notably the national elite in various fields, the Minister of National Defense said in a statement. The Director General of Customs made a partial movement in the TARs at the national level and appointed regional directors in Tlemcen, Bishar, Tamanrasset, Ouargla, Annaba, Stif and Blida. This movement concerns the central interests and the interests of the region of jurisdiction of the regional directors. It also concerns custom departments with the regional and state jurisdiction, where the regional sub-director of customs disputes and collection were appointed, and the regional sub-directors of customs techniques were appointed, and the appointment of a regional sub-director of the means management in Algeria port, and the appointment of a regional sub-director of the base structures in Annaba. The official website of the Confederation of African Football reported Thursday the health protocol for the conduct of the CAN match which will be held next January. CAF confirmed that an agreement has been concluded with the Cameroonian government VCAVOT to develop a new plan to confront the various dangers that fans and players may face in light of the outbreak of the coronavirus. The Confederation of African Football stated that it will allow fans, including green supporters, to follow the 52 match normally, provided that the vaccination is complete against corona, in addition to showing the results for the PCR examination that is negative and does not exceed 72 hours, or the result of a negative test no more than 24 hours. The Prime Minister, Minister of Finance Emem Abdelrahman oversaw the official launch of the electronic portal for public deals, which would ensure greater respect for the principles of free access to public demand, equality between candidates and transparency of procedures. The Prime Minister affirmed that the public procurement electronic portal will allow for more transparent and controlled payment and a good treatment of the management of public expenditures by the various stakeholders. This electronic portal will also allow to combat bribery, enhance competition, simplify management, achieve cost saving and improve data collection on public procurement. It will also generate greater competitiveness and better market knowledge for all institutions. The Minister of Foreign Affairs and the National Community abroad, Ramtal Amamra, received Saturday at the Regional Theatre in Betna the Sky of Loyalty from the Oasis Festival in its 7th edition as a leader of Algerian diplomacy, according to the Awareness Forum for Solidarity and Development. And the Governorate of the Oasis Festival for the 7th edition chose Ramtal Amamra as one of the list of honorees as a leader of Algerian diplomacy, as one of the best that Algeria gave birth to, the voice of the nation in international forums, a man of difficult tasks with distinction, a man of skill and a solid diplomatic outlook, adds the forum. The forums described Amamra as the architect of peace operations in the world, of 45 years of diplomatic experience, who has made a name for himself in the diplomatic arena at the continental and global levels, thanks to the great tasks assigned to him by the African Union, the United Nations, and the relevant study institutes and centers, global reference such as the International Crisis Group and the Stockholm Peace Institute. We achieved the end of this number. Thanks for watching.